Hello there, fellow monks and nuns. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Abbey. Episode 7, Unlocking the Hefeweizen. Alright, picking up where we left off, we are in the middle of the mandatory sobriety edict, which is a little tricky because that means that our own people aren't allowed to drink, and as a result, they are super angry. They are not loving life right now. Which means it's a really bad time to come up with new recipes because they're extremely uninspired. So instead, just trying to keep things like business as usual is probably the best way forward. Trying to build up gold cash and to make sure things are running because our firmatines are straight up losing their minds with depression here. And if we click on them individually, it will probably read as such, right? My throat is so dry, and all work, no play, right? These are all modifiers. Pretty much the modifiers that they have right now are modifiers related to the mandatory sobriety, every single one of them. So there's really nothing I could do about their moods. I guess this person brewed an awesome ale, but short of that, there's really nothing else I can do. All right, opening up the research tree. Here is what we currently have available to us. Ingredient logistics allows the construction of a storage room to unlock the pantry. So essentially what this is you can make deals with the merchant and buy ingredients in bulk and buy ingredients in season, and then store those ingredients in your pantry to then use, making brewing essentially possibly cheaper as long as what you buy in the pantry gets used and doesn't spoil. There is also the fruits in the ale, allowing you to use a fruit press and adding fruit to recipes. And then create from existing. If you want to make a new recipe, you can essentially copy an old recipe and then modify it. Not particularly helpful, but it cuts down on redesign. And then there's building permits. Allows the construction of one additional room per monastery phase. We've got larger sales, increases the number of ingredients on sale from the merchant, which is really only helpful if you have ingredient logistics. And then we've got shorter fermentation schedule, so shortens the fermentation of any ale by 1 day. And then eventually will lead into the brew like a fermentine. So know your customers. Reveal these special customer traits in some of the markets. So different markets out here have different traits where they will have specific demands. There might be hey, we only like things with hops in it. And they're just not going to consume a normal amount unless it has those traits. Then we have ingredient preparation tier 2, which allows you to make even finer stuff. So the ingredient preparation stuff is really key in trying to prepare for the contests. Because your average everyday beer that you ship off to random villages, you don't really need to drive up the the quality, because the average bar patron isn't going to really appreciate it. But for contests, that's important. Then we have Ye Old Dealings. Unlock the possibility to send a fermentine to negotiate with the merchant for special ingredient offers. We have Yeast Cropping. If there's enough storage space, make retrieving some of the used yeast units after the brew possible. Basically lessening your ingredient mix. And then Coffee. Putting coffee in recipes. Boy, would I like that. And then as far as furnishings go, we have Laundry Basket, Scientific Tool, Hops Plant Vase, Kegs Reservoir. And this is just generalized furniture. Now the wall lamp might be really nice to raise our brightness. So those are the kind of research projects that we have on the horizon to be looking for. All right, our comfort is basically max, 97%. So there's really not much I can do about changing that. So really what we need to do is just keep our heads down and get through this mandatory sobriety period, because oof. Okay, 300 liters of farmhouse ale, and I'm going to negotiate. And there we go. Let's brew it up. New brew. We have Cathanon Craft, which is our farmhouse ale. I'll brew it with Aggro because he does it better. All 300, pay and brew. Now, right now, in style, the seasonal trend is blonde, so let's... And, oh, okay, no, I don't want to make blondes. Right, Hefedorf doesn't receive blondes. Let's make farmhouse ale for Hefedorf as well. So 2 big giant batches of Cathanon Craft. Merps is going to be the one that make the other batch, which I'm like not thrilled about because Merps's roll on quality for the Cathodon Craft is pretty low. Oh, you know what? I can also sell. Yeah, I'll just do this. I'm going to sell the beer that we had in storage for this contract, and then I'll have 2 giant batches of Cathodon Craft ready to go. In terms of ingredient, I think the most impactful that I can get right now would be ingredient logistics for storage. So I could be able to build a storage room. Because I have a cellar, but not a storage room, and I think that's probably what I'm going to save up for right now. It maybe not at this moment is the right time to do it, but not be a bad idea to explore hiring new people as well. At the moment, we have, oh, actually, this person's intuition's rather high, which could make him a good brewer. Merps's intuition is 4, Agro's is 8. So it's quite possible that this new candidate's intuition surpasses Merp's, and we should hire them as a brewer. Should I hire the new brewer? Yay or nay? You guys choose. Poll is right there. Give you a minute to contemplate in monk level meditation for that. All right, so here is ingredient logistics. I have it researched, and what that allows me to do is to build a storage room. So I'm gonna put the storage to the left, and then the like cellars underneath the brewery to the right. Of course, keep in mind that you can always move buildings. That's not a big deal. All right, dang. Overwhelmingly, you are like, hire the new brewer, hire the new brewer. So the caveat to hiring the new brewer is, do we retire the old brewer, or do we build a new dormitory? Do I... what to do? Build a second dorm, or retire a brewer? Now, the thing about retiring a brewer, if we look at the intellect quality, Merps is an 8, and I don't think anyone gets close. So Merps is still, even though she's maybe not the best brewer, she's by far the best person to write up recipes. So what we could do if we do keep her and build a second dormitory is to get another research bench and to have her essentially research until I need a recipe, take her off the research bench, have her make a recipe, and then go back to research. Juggling between the two, I don't think that would be necessarily ridiculous. All right, what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up the dorms to be on the second level. Switching the custodial closet down here. You know, I just realized the custodial closet actually doesn't have a name. And I've been naming all my rooms. So, raffle timer's up. This raffle timer is going to be for both the custodial closet and the new brewer. Where's the timer? I can't even find my own timer. But alright, it looks like you guys want me to build a second dorm. Copy that. Alright, Brother Maltus has a task for you. Your maltiness. I would like us to try something new for the people of Hefeweizen. With a bit of research spent on the right subjects, we should be able to find something the likes of which they've definitely never tried before. Spicy, hazy, and fruity. The Hefeweizen. I mean, they are the Hefeweizen, right? So, I'm not going to really be able to do this until the mandatory sobriety is over, because I'm not going to be able to raise the average happiness level of my fermentines to at least happy or whatever. So I'm not even going to bother working towards this until the mandatory sobriety period is over, because it's literally not even going to be possible. And there's a new contract here for Herbal Ale. I'll negotiate. And they took it. All right, so here is the new storage room. And I'm also going to be naming the storage room. Oh, there's the raffle timer. It was behind the pole. So this new storage room, the way this works is that you store ingredients on shelves, and then you can stockpile stuff. There we go. I think it would be wise for me to work towards phasing out regular candlelight and start to work on like wall sconce thing, like brighter lights essentially, because without brighter lights it's going to be pretty painful to keep everything lit as we expand. All right, and here's the second dormitory, and I'm going to switch the Abbey to this dorm once it's built. We'll move it, but I can't move until then because there's adjacency bonuses for similar rooms to be next to one another. So I would very much like that. This custodial closet is rather plain, which my worry for that is if it's really plain, there might not be. It might be lowering my comfort. Plus, the new room is going to be lowering my comfort. All right, there we go. So the Abbey room and the dorm are getting swapped, and it looks like I have a lot of rooms to be named. So this raffle timer is going to kick off a lot of namings. And the mandatory sobriety is, we're less than a month away. My people are probably low-key losing their minds, but, like, I'm working on it. Oh, I just realized I am not allowed to put another escritory in here. Never mind, I'm not going to be able to do that. Alright. Ales. This one will sell at Hefeweizen, and then this batch we will store in our cellar. And then once this batch is done, I'll have Aggro start brewing that herbal batch. 230 herbal. New brew. K386. Aggro. And do a full batch. And I did just hire the new person. And I immediately then was like, oh, yeah, I don't really have a place for him to sleep. So... mistakes were made, but, you know, whatever. Alright, so now we have a new dormitory for the new hire, who's possibly going to be a really good brewer. So this Caffeinaum craft is going to be stored in the cellar. And I'll drink some of it once the mandatory sobriety goes away, and then I can donate it to the bandits as well. Alright, taking a look at the research tree. I did just mention that brighter lamps would be swell. This thing produces 37 light compared to a candelabra, which is 25, and then a regular torch light is like 10 or 18. So it's like twice as bright as a regular torch. So the other thing I'd like to do is to go around selling the old lighting, because we don't really need the old school lights anymore. I'd like to phase in the new lights so there's fewer objects to keep lit, and that should make it a lot easier on our custodial staff. So this room, for instance, needs like 2 of these new lights, wall lamps, and 1 candelabra to stay sufficiently lit. Alright, so namings. Yabushido, you are the new candidate hire. Alright, the dormitory is going to be named the Azarun Dorm. The Abbey room is the Nimiot room. If I could... oh, really? Okay. And then we need the storage cellar, the miss key storage. Don't miss your key to the storage or it will be locked forever. I think that's it. Was there anything else? Oh, the custodial closet. Yes, the Dife custodial closet. Even that gets a name. It reminds me of like hospitals that have like different wings named after donors. Which is, I suppose this is not that far off. Also, I didn't need a new dorm because my math was wrong. I had 5. I have 6 beds, so I built a whole new dorm for nothing. But whatever, I'm sure we'll hire someone new to fill that up eventually. So that means Merps is mostly just going to be in charge of like doing big brain stuff, recipe writing and the like, which I am totally okay with. Alright, continuing to phase out the old school light for new school easier to maintain light. And we have another contract to potentially fulfill. I'll take a look at that in just a moment. That's so much nicer. Alright, this new contract is for Old Ale. And I'll negotiate it up a bit. And it failed. That's fine. Alright, new brew. So now that we have a new brewer, Yabushido, it's probably worth seeing what he can do. So I'm going to have him do a big 300-liter batch and see if it comes out like swill or not. I guess I can sell the old candelabras if they're not needed. Alright, that's full light with 2 lamps. And this added floor space allows us to then put, like, prettier stuff in the rooms. Because it's essentially just more efficient. In this case, I think a candelabra makes the most sense because I don't want to cover up the windows. Madsy, thank you for the resub. Alright, everything left has now been updated with lights. I'll do the right now. Alright, I'm gonna sell the mugs and then put stuff on the ground, I guess. Ooh, but that runs... Okay, I'm gonna sell the lamps, or the picture frames instead. Because I don't want to cover up the, having things be equivalent is kind of important. So I think what I'm going to do is try to duplicate left and right the same. So that both breweries are of identical quality. We'll likely get a fruit press, and what we can do is have the spice cabinet in this one and the fruit press in this one, so that they're differentiated. With that in mind, the spice cabinet and the fruit press just unlocks for the entire brewery. It's not specific to the room. So it's not a big deal if I brew spiced stuff here and fruit stuff here, if that's how we shake it down. Right, brewery. We want the... ingredient prep post. We'll do another hops bucket. And we've got another hops bucket, another hops bucket. There we go. So these are now identical and with the brighter lights. So all those hops buckets are really doing a lot of work raising our minimum quality, which is good because the minimum quality is probably more important than the maximum quality. Maximum quality is really important when you're entering contests. Minimum quality is important when you're trying to fulfill contracts. Because contracts are going to say a minimum quality of like 10 or 20, whereas the contests are like, oh, we want it as nice as possible. So they're sort of somewhat conflicting goals or requirements or whatever. Alright, so the cellars here are going to be like dark as hell until I can put in the new lights. There we go. 3 lamps seem to do the work of like 6 or 9 candles or whatever. So it was a pretty good upgrade. The storage cellar itself probably needs some adornment because the next what the hell? There we go. The next phase is going to be to make sure that they're like the comfort comes back up, because it's now down to 71%, so we can pretty things up a bit. All right, so this is the herbal ale fulfilling this contract, done, and the rest of it will be sold. I'm not going to be able to move the milestone up anymore, because we're waiting to unlock the next ale. So we're kind of stuck here until we do. Maybe what we could do is make some old ale for Hopfendorf as next batch. Because the third town, Malsdorf, has basically no demand. We've like flooded it. So I don't really need to be brewing for them. So this is the effort to raise the comfort up. So these rooms are more adorned. Wait, is this 100% messy? No, 0% messy. I can read. And we got yet another contract. Hefeweizen contract for herbal ale. I feel like I just did that, but okay. As long as they're accepting, it keeps the bills paid. Yeah, storing flowers in a cellar feels really weird, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, this is not exactly how it would work, but whatever. As long as they're happy. The other thing I can consider is phasing out old decorations for higher impact decorations. That would not be necessarily a bad idea. Higher impact decorations being ones that move the needle for the room quality more. But I don't need to do that at the moment. So we are pretty close to being done with this stupid sobriety. And we'll have a lot happier people once it's done, I think. Let's see. What to unlock next? Statues. So these statues are like very pretty. But I think what I want is to save up for innovation. I would like to get fruits in the ale probably next, to get a fruit press here. So I guess that's what we'll work towards. And that requires 220 research points. Oh, right. The herbal stuff. Also, there's a new contest. I'm a little worried about trying to enter a new contest. Only because everyone right now is really upset due to the forced sobriety. So let's see. It is for an old ale. And our current old ales are really not super high quality. So I think I'm going to skip this contest until it comes back around another date. Because I'm not likely to win it. And if I'm not likely to win it, I don't want to enter it. Because once you place in a contest, like first, second, or third, you're done. That's it. So as long as we don't enter it, we can't lose it. Alright, Cathcraft. Oh, a 51. And it's liquid bread. If fermenting consuming it is not subject to negative effects on satisfaction for the rest of the week. Hot damn. Store it in the cellar. And this Cathcraft can just get flooded into Hefeweizen then. So not only did the new brewer make something magical, but they made something magical for us to consume. So if we take a look at Cathcraft, we've got a 51 versus 36.23. Holy moly, what a difference. Alright, next contract is for an old ale, and we'll see how Yabushido brews up an old ale. Because maybe he will be, like, magically amazing at it, too. You never know. Oh, so as far as the brewers go, Merps is essentially getting phased out. So my brewers, for your brewer stats, you want someone with high intuition. So Dom here should not have been assigned. You're right. Dom. Yeah. Well, I'll let him finish this batch, but Dom is our custodian. I unassigned him from the custodian locker because you can't move the custodian room unless you unassign from the custodian locker, and then I forgot to reassign him, so that was entirely my fault. But he's trying his hand at brewing a beer, and it's pretty terrible. But yet somehow astonishing, and also really good to deliver to bandits. Store in the cellar and deliver to the bandits. Alright, so Mr. Dom, you're going back to the custodial work. Your foray into brewing was quick and bad. Alright, bandits. Here is the K38 craft. I'll pay you an ale. Oh, was this the herbal ale supposed to go for... Yeah. Alright, let's rebrew it. New brew. That was supposed to be for delivery on contract. So I'll just have Merps brew up a batch of it for the contract. Because I can't wait for Yabashido to finish. Because Yabashido's making the old ale. Oh well. A mandatory sobriety event is now completed. Woo! Well done. The order adapted, endured, and rose to the occasion. Let this be a testament to what we can accomplish through sheer will and frothy ale. Even the harshest trials can be turned to triumph. So as a result, we have a +3 to final ale quality and a +3 to minimum and maximum quality. Once moods turn around, specifically for Merps, once Merps is done brewing that, we can consider opening up new recipes. But I still don't think there's enough time to actually make a reasonably good old ale before the next contest. Especially given that a lot of the old ales get cask aged. So, Cathcraft. This Cathcraft is liquid bread. This is going to be what we drink. This K38 stuff I'm going to sell to Hefeweizen. And then this old ale, 43%, not bad. I think that's higher than anyone else's. Most of it is going for the contract, and the remainder will be sold to the town. Your maltiness. Should we keep them clear-headed? Oh, come on! Come on! Alright, you guys can choose. Choice. Reject or accept, refuse. So, he's asking for us to continue our sobriety for half a month. If we do it, we gain fame, fortune, and working speed. If we refuse, we get beer. So, chat, how important is beer to you? Oh boy, I see the needle. This is a nail biter. All right, we're gonna refuse. Reject. Sorry, bud. But that last edict did us in. Our moods are depressed, so let's think about ourselves first. So once we have the average happiness raise up, I can start to work on the Hefeweizen unlock. That's what I want to be doing. And luckily you guys refused the bishop's offer, meaning that our moods are going to go up, and I'll be able to actually unlock Hefeweizens. Because I'm not going to be able to unlock Hefeweizens until then. Alright, I have a decent amount of money, so it would not be a bad idea for me to spruce up the rooms here. I'm trying to like put in a variety of decorations, but I don't have a lot unlocked. Maybe I'll wait for the research to unlock them. All right, this new brew was... So what I want to do is I want to start to figure out what Yabashita can do for the other brews. So I'll have him brew up some Enthek Amber. I don't even know if there's like a market for Enthek Amber. Not really. But I'll have a brew up anyway, because I don't really care. Even if there's no market, we're going to practice our craft all the same. New contract for more herbal. Man, they really want a lot of herbal, huh? Okay. So once I see Merps's attitude go up, I can also create new recipes. Create a recipe with at least one virtue in the red, one in the yellow, and one in the green. What recipe would that be? Oh, that would be Emily's swill. So we need to brew a big batch of swill, I guess, to satisfy the Hefeweizen, which is hilarious that it's like, hey, you want a new beer, brew the worst thing you have on tap. You got it. 100%, you got it. And then we should have the Hefeweizens unlocked. We have new fermentines to be hired. Wow, you look very dumb, apparently. I was gonna say you look like a sage, but you have the lowest intellect I've ever seen. No, that's intellect, yeah. I don't think you're getting hired, friend. And we did get the fruits in the ale requirement. So, here in our brewery... What is brewery? Oh my god. We are going to get the fruit press. Boom. Now we can start adding fruit into our mixes. Which is actually... It doesn't sound special, but it's actually an insanely powerful tool. So now that we brewed up the Emily's swill, I will sell the swill to Hoffendorf. And that unlocks the Hefeweizen. We also get, so Florence fame, but also we get the wagons. And the details about this is it's flavorful, dry finish, wheat beer, notes of cloves, bananas, pale, hazy, etc. And then its special traits is gourmet, popularity universal. When used to bribe the bandits, further slows down the decrease in standing by 25%, but has a penalty to sales in poor and average markets. So the problem with the Hefeweizen here is poor and average markets is literally everything we have access to right now. So Hefeweizens are really, really bad at selling to these three towns. So we really ought not to bother. The swill's being sold, and Merps, how happy are you? Okay, just about maxed. So now would be a great time for a new recipe. So let's make our first Hef recipe. Our Hefeweizen recipe is going to be named the Nabla. So hops, malt, wheat, ester yeast. So a good Hefeweizen should be really foamy. So let's sort by foam. So it's more wheat malt. And then it needs to have a bit more color than it currently does. We want it also stronger, so something that raises color and strength, like honey. The reason I'm adding honey over pale malt is our current Abbey, we get a raising quality if we use out of style ingredients, like honey in this case. We still want more color, so let's add amber. And this has a max quality of 50, which is pretty strong. Pretty good. And everything's in the green. So this will be our first Hefeweizen. We're going to write this up with Merps, who's fantastically good at it now. The Noble Hef. Whoa, look at our coins. I didn't realize we were, like, rolling in the Boku bucks. Holy moly. And then looking at the markets, Hoffendorf calls for more blonde ales. So when I have a free brewer, I'm gonna brew up some blondes. Banlish blonde. That was our award record blonde. And I'm gonna brew up like 2 of them. One with aggro and one with Yabushido, the new brewer. All right, the bishop has a task for us. We can either accept or refuse. The choice will be yours, chat. We're here to master the art of brewing your maltiness. Brew an ale in a style I've chosen with decent quality, and I'm sure you'll be met with a few boons. So brew a farmhouse with 31 or greater, get fame, and final quality increase. It's pretty easy to do. This is honestly like a layup, right? And you guys have voted to accept. I don't think I really needed to pull that one. That was like a freebie. So, unfortunately, Enthax Attack, brewed. Oh, it's unripe. Yeah. Okay, so the good thing about Enthax Attack brewed by Yabushido is it has Divine Inspiration, so when it's stored in a barrel, it increases the quality of all other ales by 3, and also it's unripe, so it should be stored in a barrel. So I'm going to store in the cellar right now. And then do a new brew of Farmhouse with Yabushido, and we'll just do a big brew because I don't really care. We've got money for days. So the Enthax Attack here needs to be aged for 60 days. Got it. And the good thing here is like being in the cellar will like benefit everything else we craft. So having Enthax Attack or any Divine Inspiration beer is really good for the contests. So I'm happy about that. Hey, Batthorn. Thank you for the resub. You finally got into the game after watching the videos? That's awesome to hear. So this was Brandlish's Blonde. This was for the Hoffendorf market. And we need an herbal. Is that what you're brewing? Yeah, that's what you're brewing. No, you're brewing a farmhouse. So, new brew. We are going to need a herbal. And I'm going to brew with aggro, even though Merps is the better brewer. So the other thing we can do is we can go back and try to fix any of our previous recipes. So I might get rid of whiz now, even though it's fun to whiz on the bandits. So we have 2 light ales, but one is like dirt cheap, and that's intentional. We have 2 ambers, Enthax Attack and Flambert. I'm gonna get rid of the Enthax Attack, even though it's been useful. So as you can see, the Noble Hef has a maximum quality higher than anything else. I think what we need to do is we need to revisit some of our older recipes and then raise the baseline quality. So Yodelite might get phased out here, but the idea here is to create a new recipe. As long as Merps is happy, Merps is basically max happiness. So new recipe. And one of the brilliant things about having Merps, our recipe writer, have no other jobs, is she won't be working very often. So when she does work, she's going to be really, really happy because she basically does nothing all day but dream up of recipes. So it's kind of perfect. Oh. So this would be like a standard light ale, and this has a higher baseline quality than we had before. I'm going to see if I can modify it. 37. Modify it in a way that it's going to be even better, like putting amber malt in it. I don't think we can get better than 37, unfortunately, and that's just like very basic. Essentially, light ales are like going to be boring. So yeah, I tried to play with the recipe and it didn't really work. So we'll just make a revised Yodelite, because this is going to be higher quality than we had before. Just because our recipe writer is like better at it. And I'll actually spell Yodelite. Yodelite 0. Yeah, I guess. So as far as next research goes, what to research? What to unlock for our monastery? I'm going to put them into categories. Radical brewing. Brewlosophy. Brew liquor fermenting. If I could actually type these things up. Or crafted conveniences. And I'll tell you what I will actually choose from all of these subsections. Rustic reflections. Okay. So, radical brewing is the easy one. Create from existing. It's not a super sexy thing, but allows you to like copy and paste recipes. Brew philosophy, I would probably unlock shorter fermentation schedule, so we ferment things faster. That doesn't necessarily like sound like a bad thing to get. In brew liquor fermenting, I would get ingredients preparation tier 2, so that we can have even nicer things to enter contests with. In furnishings, I would go with probably the scientific tool here, because the scientific tool increases the ale trait probability, and then put that in the library. And in rustic reflections, maybe the kegs reservoir, because the satisfaction of eating in a refectory with a bunch of kegs is good, I guess. But I also acknowledge that we have need of a St. Daniel statue and or large paintings to sort of bring up our satisfaction comfort levels. So that's what I would choose, and I'll give you one more minute to vote on this. Thank you for tuning in to Ale Abbey, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow abbots.